always kind of had quite a strong design process that was really quite simple, that it's almost inspiration and then material or technique and then idea, and it's kind of nothing really sort of particularly special about that, but it's just the way it's about making those. For me, it's about making those connections. I've always had making as part of my process, but actually in my design process, but actually I don't particularly make to one material. So the idea for the aperture light was inspired by a pine cone and its ability to open and close according to the weather conditions. And then this middle image is it's a weird frame which is constructed by some salty old sea dog on the North Yorkshire coast, and it's made from cigarette packets all cut up, but it kind of opens and closed, and that was the object which then I really drew me to kind of the idea of something opening and answering that sort of making that connection with the paper and the function of the pine cone to create the aperture light. So. And then I launched Aperture with Habitat, but I was also taken under their wing and taken in-house to Habitat, and I freelanced for them initially, I was freelancing for them when I designed Ribbon, and and also this was the Spindle collection. So these were. I was then sort of answering commercial briefs, and it was a very different approach to the way that I'd worked before, trying to fit a commercial brief and being shown, I suppose, being shown commercial products which the buyers felt that would sit within their collection, and I was to create equivalent products, equivalent materials possibly, and that sort of trend driven. So and I remember being in the studios at Habitat, and actually what was quite amazing about the studios at Habitat, when I kind of looked around, I thought we're all makers actually. Catherine's a weaver, Philip is a printer, Aaron was doing furniture, started like cabinet making, and it was really interesting to be around makers, and we had a workshop and we were all kind of in there. Actually, I was in there folding paper and driving myself a bit bonkers most of the time, but actually we were all in there, and they were carving things on the lathe, and it was a lovely aspect to the furniture design, and it was a real asset. I think Tom Dixon was particularly fought for that space for us. And then the Spindle light that we did as part of the 2006 collection was very much in response to a trend that we'd seen at Milan. For me, it was the first thing I'd ever designed on the computer. It was a real moment for me that hadn't come from handmade, but it was very much relied on my skills and all my old school life drawing skills, which were very much part of looking at shape and form and proportion, and having that sort of quite traditional drawing thing, which actually was that I really utilised when we were working on the pluming project, was really sort of referring to those shapes and proportions and how forms interlock with each other.